What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another video, and today we are taking a look at another musical sampling library called Soaring Strings. And true to its name, you could probably predict that this is a legato string library. It has sustains as well, but it really is focused around the longs and the legatos to kind of replicate the soaring string passages that we hear in lots of film scores and classical music or film scores, right? But before we kind of get into the patches and really get a feeling of what the sound and the playability is like, I want to give you my sample library buyer's guide in case you don't have it yet. Basically, it contains all my preferred string libraries, woodwind libraries, brass libraries, percussion, everything you could think of, all condensed down into one easy to read package and PDF. And it's totally free. So if you want to check the link in the box below, it'll take you straight there where you can download it. And hopefully, it gives you a sense of the libraries that I like to use on a regular basis. And if you're in the market for something else, something new, then maybe that'll give you a bit of direction. So without further ado, let's kind of talk about Soaring Strings a little bit. At the time of this recording, it's actually $129, which is a sale price, but the regular price is $249, just so you know. It's a legato only library, basically. So legato and sustains patches. There's 10 violins, 6 violas, 5 cellos, and 4 double basses. And then for the sustains, you actually have full and soft sustains as well. And this is, they consider it a companion library to Adventure Strings, which contains the other articulations like short and pizzicatos, I think, and other stuff like that. And then it's recorded on a scoring stage, and there's 4 dynamic layers, so piano to triple forte, and then 5 dynamics of sustains, so pianissimo to triple forte as well. And then you can also go to silence with the mod wheel if you wanted to. Just a note that it's not for free Contact players, so you do need the full version of Contact, which I do think it's worth it to have, especially if you want slightly more niche libraries, which can be very useful. It's worth having the full version of Contact. And then also it's 4 gigabytes compressed as well. So not an enormous library, but it has a nice heft to it as well for an orchestral library. Big thanks again to Aaron Sampling. Sorry, not Aaron Sampling. Aaron Sapp for sending me this library to take a look at for you guys. I have a couple string libraries already that kind of do this type of thing, like Vista and CSS has great legato, Afflatus, and so on. But it's one of those situations where you can't have enough string libraries. And while I disagree with that, I think for a particular style, if you want another flavor, it can't hurt. So yeah, let's kind of get into it. Let's start with the legato violins, hear what it sounds like, and then we will talk about it. We'll play through all the patches actually, and then we'll kind of go through it a bit. Here we go. All right. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what these patches sound like. I think you would agree that in general, the flowing emotional nature of the pattern of the string, sorry, they do sound very passionate, very emotional, and they really live up to the name of the library, I think. And yeah, of course, you want to keep in mind that this is a legato and sustain only library. So for 249, you can decide if it is worth it for you. But for my purposes, I think I would personally use this. Um, yeah, like I could see myself using it exposed, but as well as a layer for other libraries, especially considering the signature of the sound is a bit on the brighter side, right? And it's also relatively dry. There's not too much reverb baked into the samples, so it's kind of flexible in regards to where you put it in the room, right? So you can use a reverb plugin like Valhalla or Spaces or Seventh Heaven or whatever it is, to really juice it up a little bit in terms of the reverb and place it in your own space. Legato sounds great to me. The overall dynamic range is fabulous. Like you can get really quiet, but you can get really loud as well. So overall, it's a very versatile library in terms of the legato functions, I think. But again, you won't get the rest of the articulations, so keep that in mind. I think most people usually get Soaring Strings plus Adventure Strings as a bundle together to get the rest of the articulations. But I think for a standalone library, this is Musical Sampling's debut offering, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, a library that stands out pretty well. But anyway, keep in mind also that there's only only one violin section. So there's no violins two, okay? So you get violins, violas, cellos, and basses, and of course you get the full sustains patches as well. But generally, without a violins two, you might have to load in a second instance of the violins patch if you want a violins two, and just make sure that they're playing a different line compared to the first. Or you can do the transposition trick, and then you can simulate a second violin section that way as well. But what I wanted to do was kind of challenge myself and see if I could come up with a short demo that only uses 4 parts, only uses these 4 sections. So no violins two, but just violins, violas, cello, and basses. So I should probably rename that to just violins. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. And then you can see I've done quite a bit of modulation here as well, just to get the dynamics a little bit more. But here we go. Let's have a listen. Okay, so you hear that I'm really only using the legato patches here. I'm not really using the sustains because I wanted to see how it would sound if I just used those patches. Here is the modulation data. You can see obviously the violins. I pretty much went way more with the modulation because I really wanted them to sing out, even this top line here being the violins modulation. Naturally, I wanted that to be the most expressive and heard on top of everything else the most easily, right? And then everything else is kind of sitting underneath, but still following a similar pattern for the volumes and dynamics. Let's hear that one more time, but also looking at the MIDI data this time. We'll kind of just look at it here. Here we go. All right, and generally you can see I'm using some pretty standard, excuse me, some pretty standard arranging techniques here. I have the cello in the first half of the piece, kind of descending motion, letting the violins kind of ascend a little bit. So there's a bit of contrary motion happening there. And then the violas in the middle are basically doing some counter melody and balancing out the violins and the cello in the middle. Then the second half has the violas taking more of a harmonic role in comparison to the violins. So you can see they're relatively close together, maybe like a third or fourth apart. And then the cello kind of descend with the basses in a way. So because we have 4 sections, I'm kind of doing a symmetrical feature there. And then at the very end, we kind of bring the violins all the way down to around the middle C register, close everything in together so it's a little more intimate. And then at the very end, I let the bass sink down to the B, which is the 5 chord. And then I have a little suspension going down to the third there, little sus4 going to the 3. So yeah, that's the basic idea of Soaring Strings. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I really enjoy this library for what it is. And again, it has a unique enough signature compared to some of my other libraries that I have, like Vista and CSS, that I could definitely see it as a layering agent, but also standing on its own if I need more of a drier sound with a very passionate performance as well. So if you don't have this library, let me know if this is a library that you might be interested in. If you do kind of string passages with longer legato lines, is this something that appeals to you? I would love to know. And if you do already have it, do you use it frequently, or is it more of something that sits on your shelf? And let me know why as well. And before you go, I want to recommend the Sample Library Buyer's Guide. If you don't have it yet, you probably should, because it really is a culmination of all of my favorite libraries that I personally use on a regular basis. And really, to tackle that question of what libraries does Christopher use, this is like literally my answer. So it has all the libraries organized by price and section, and it's all laid out in a simple way for you to read over. And it's my thank you for watching this video. So take care, my friends. I'll catch you in the next one, and cheers. Bye bye.